So let's just say, I'm not saying this happened. God damn it, I'll be sure. But let's just assume that people knew that 2 days ago, I guess it was, Trump was going to announce a pause in these idiotic, ill thought out, stupid, jackass, asinine tariffs. Just saying that people knew when that happened that all of these nervous markets would think there was something and it would get all pumped up. And let's just say that they call their friends. Maybe they call Clarence and Jenny Thomas because they have expenses. They got a lot of food they got to put on the table, right? Hello, and during these rather extraordinary times that we're living in, and I start this YouTube video with one thing, and I never know where it's going to be, but even by the time I finish. But let's start with something that people are starting to pay attention to: the bond market. Everybody's talking about the bond market. This is nothing new. Back in the '90s, in the Wall Street Journal quoted me as saying, if there was ever reincarnation, I used to think I wanted to come back as the Pope or the president or a 400 baseball hitter. But the truth of the matter is, I'd like to come back as the bond market because I can intimidate everybody. What that was me in my own kind of primitive, rural, rustic, uninformed way, recognizing how utterly powerful the bond market is. And in that interim between the early 90s and the mid 2025s, the mid to early 2025s, the bond market had mostly been pretty tame, pretty docile. But believe you, way more people in the bond market than the stock market. It's way more important. I'm not exactly sure, but what I suggest, if you want to get a quick education, is a site called Puck that I like. I pay for it. And a guy named William D. Cohan, I think is his name. He's a very, I think, I don't know him, but he seems to me as an experienced financial journalist. I know he's done a bunch of books. And he is talking about the bond market, and he is quoting Howard Marks in there. I will just say this about Howard Marks. I know Howard Marks, and if Howard Marks told me it was Easter, I would dye my eggs. I wouldn't say, Howard, it looks like fall to me, the leaves are falling off the tree, or it looks like the holidays, because I see all of this music. If you say it's Easter, then God damn it, it's Easter, and start dyeing eggs. That's how of a knowledgeable observer that Howard Marks is on markets, but in bond markets. So if you really should, because everybody's watching these fluctuations in the stock market and going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. When the real thing to watch that's more lasting is going to be the bond market. So this is what my view, and understand this, I want to be very careful. This is my view. But this is based on what I consider informed observation, and I think speculation that I have done. I think there's a giant in the government, particularly in the White House, is my view. Maybe you've heard this before, but it's called pump and dump. Now, this is not some South Warwick thing, meaning of pump and dump. I'll let your mind wonder as to what the possibilities are for that. This is where a bunch of people have information and they pump up. Once they pump up, they buy a lot of stocks. So let's just say, I'm not saying this happened. God damn it, I'll be sure. But let's just assume that people knew that 2 days ago, I guess it was, time goes by so fast, that Trump was going to announce a pause in these idiotic, ill thought out, stupid, jackass, asinine tariffs. And let's say, just say it, that people knew when that happened that all of these nervous markets would think there was something and it would get all pumped up. And let's just say that they call their friends. I don't know. Did it happen? Maybe they call Clarence and Jenny Thomas because they have expenses. They got a lot of food they got to put on the table, right? And maybe they said, Clarence, if I was you, I'd buy it. Maybe they cut Alito. We know that Alito and Clarence Thomas would have no ethical problem with being part of a pump and dump scheme. I'm not saying that they were part of this because that I do not have direct knowledge of. But I do believe that in all of these records, when people bought what, they're still there, and I think they're going to be there in the future. But somebody, in my opinion, is going to find that there was a lot of pumping and dumping going on. And they did the pumping and you got the dumping. That's right. They dumped right over your goddamn head. You worked your whole life, or you're still working, and you're trying to save. You have some little account. You're trying to get ahead, and they pumping away, and you're getting dumped on. Yeah, that's what's that's, in my opinion, that's what's happening today in American finance. So now we go to, if you accept the Carvillian narrative here, I think you should. I think it all kind of makes sense. But then you come to the question of why. Why would they do this when years and eons of experience have taught us that this is not going to work? It's going to cause real damage to people's savings. It's called real damage to the country. It's going to cause real damage. I mean, I don't even want to get into when you have policies that affect that many people and you change it. It's like they say the weather in Oklahoma. You go to Oklahoma and you say, I don't like the weather. Every Oklahoman will tell you, well, just wait 15 minutes. It'll change. Or if you go there and say it's a really nasty day here in Oklahoma, they'll say, well, just wait 15 minutes. It'll be nice. And I think there's some uh, truth in that wisdom, if you will. So why is he doing this that is literally destroying the country's reputation, is putting us at severe risk? Because you know who can dump? The Japanese and the Chinese. You know what they can dump? Bonds. I don't want to get into economic lessons, but when they start dumping bonds, investors are going to want more of a premium on government bonds, which will cause interest rates to go up on a 10-year treasury, which in effect is going to cause interest rates to go up on everything. And I love when people talk about the ravages of inflation, of course, which it is very tough on people. I'm not going to ever say it's not. But they tend to forget the worst kind of inflation is the inflation that comes with high interest rates, because money is a commodity. Money is no different than a gallon of gas or a dozen eggs or anything else. If money costs you more money, if it costs you more money to get a car loan or to get a house loan or to get a business loan, the dry cleaner needs to expand. Okay, the hardware store, no, they're not going to be able to do that. So why is Trump doing this? This again is so detrimental to the interests of the people of the United States, and it is so detrimental to the reputation of the United States. The easy answer is to say, well, he's just an egomaniac, and he really doesn't think about anything other than himself, and he really doesn't care about the United States. That's a very plausible cocktail party. Oh, well, gee, let me scratch my thing. Well, that makes sense. He's just a narcissistic guy, and he doesn't really give a crap what happens to, some guy has a lawn mowing service in Oshkosh that doesn't even cross his mind. Of course, this poor man, a poor woman, a poor person, or whatever, works 78 hours a week, and they voted for Trump. And I'm sorry, you made a big mistake. That's all I can tell you. Don't hate you for it. I don't wish bad things to you, but man, you fucked up. Oh, did you? So that's one explanation. He's just so narcissistic. He doesn't care. He's oblivious to the pain that his decisions are going to cause people. I accept that's plausible. I think I have a much better explanation for what's going on. I have said and continue to believe he actually hates the United States. Not when I say hates the United States, when I talk about the United States, I'm talking about the laws that we live under, the Constitution that we have, the traditions we have, the customs we have, the alliances we have, the relationships we have, the people that we pal around with on the global stage. He doesn't like us. He has said that we're fat, and he said we're stupid. He said that his own voters, that's right, Mrs. Lawn Service person in Oshkosh, he said you're poorly educated if you voted for him. He doesn't like you. He doesn't like France. He doesn't like Japan. He doesn't like Colombia. Okay? He doesn't like the people that we pal around with. He likes Belarus and Russia and North Korea. So maybe he's pulling against us. Maybe he wants it to fail. An example I use, if Ole Miss is playing LSU and Ole Miss asked me to call the plays, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw into coverage every time. I'm going to pick the best defensive back that LSU has, and I'm going to try to throw the ball in his territory because I want it to be intercepted. I want Ole Miss to lose the goddamn game. You understand what I'm saying? In effect, having Trump be president of the United States, to me, is the equivalent of me calling the plays for Ole Miss. I'm going to try to lose. I think that's what he's doing, and I think he's being really successful at it. Because the carnage and the aftermath of all of this is people are not going to trust us. Business people in the United States, they're not going to make any decisions because they say, gee, I don't know what this goddamn guy's going to do. They're under the illusion that he's just mercurial, self-indulgent, can't be trusted in his word. I think you're wrong. I think he doesn't want you to succeed. That's what I really believe. But you got to make decisions based on the conclusions that you arrive at. But I can tell you that when this thing happened, I thought it was going to be really bad because I thought that this guy is so self-indulgent, so about himself to the exclusion of anybody else that this would be really catastrophic for the country. I only come to understand and realize that he is actually pulling against us. So it's even worse by far than I could ever contemplate. And he was pulling against us yesterday, he's pulling against us today, and he will pull against us tomorrow. So my dear Lawn Services entrepreneur in Oshkosh, you fucked up big time. Big time. And a lot of people like you did. I don't hate you for it. I want you to know this. But just understand where you are, what the person you voted for is trying to do and is trying to do to your country. And we're going to continue to comment on this. We're going to continue to talk about it. But I would pay very close attention to Mr. Cohan's article in Puck. And like I tell you, whatever Howard Marks says, book it, because that dude, he knows his shit. I can tell you that right now. Thank y'all. Catch you later.